Did you know that emailing your patients over the normal internet that you use for business or personal correspondence is strictly prohibited under HIPAA? Why? If true, how can email ever be used to communicate with patients? You are listening to ReachMD XM 157, the channel for medical professionals. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Benson. Today we will be discussing HIPAA-compliant secure email with Mr. Scott Finlay, Chief Executive Officer of MaxMD. Scott is a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. After leaving the Army and before starting MaxMD, he served as Managing Director for both the North American Equity Trading and Global Equity Finance divisions of Lehman Brothers. Well, Scott, the first question I want to ask is, as I said in the beginning, why is regular email not secure from a HIPAA point of view for communicating with patients? So what? Nobody can read my email, right?
Dr. Benson, that's a great question because it's not common knowledge that standard email is not secure. Standard email consists of a header and open text. Standard email is sent over the internet through a series of relays. In fact, some free email services even scan emails and recommend advertisements based on the contents of those emails. Those advertisements generally show up in the margins of the email, and that's the reason you can get a free email account for these services. It's a form of advertising-supported business model. There's a prominent article recently in the business section, on the front page of the business section of the New York Times, that highlighted this issue. In general, some people simply assume that email is similar to the U.S. Post. With the U.S. mail, you send a correspondence in an envelope, and you assume that it will not be read by anyone other than the address. In fact, our laws support this notion of privacy by making it illegal to tamper with the mail. Email, to continue the analogy, however, is much like sending a postcard through the mail. As I mentioned, standard email is a header and an open text, and it's sent to its intended recipient through a series of relays, and it's legible at any one of those points. It's for this reason that standard email doesn't comply with HIPAA. The HIPAA Act requires that providers and certain healthcare organizations safeguard PHI, or protected health information. There are both civil and criminal penalties for the failure to safeguard PHI. Health and Human Services can impose civil penalties on a covered entity of up to $100 per instance of failure for up to a limit of $25,000. Criminal fines can go up to $50,000 and up to 1 year, and fines can go as high as $250,000 and 10 years for the intent to sell, transfer, or individually identifiable health information for commercial advantage, personal gain, or malicious harm. So it's a real issue. When you consider that a .md domain name, when combined with our practice package of 10 additional email accounts and our audit package costs a grand total of $330 a year, it makes great economic sense to eliminate the risk of fines.
Well, what I think is even more interesting than the fact that email isn't HIPAA compliant is the fact that, in general, patients simply won't understand it. When somebody wants to email me and I tell them that it's not in keeping with federal regulations, it's just way too abstract a subject for most of them to understand. So I get a kind of a blank stare. Why is email using a .md domain name secure when using .com isn't? As you know, many of our audience members don't know all the nuances of internet communications, so that is not a common sense idea. What's different about .md?
Well, what's unique about .md is that MaxMD has created a secure communications platform that's domain-wide. It's designed to help healthcare providers, like physicians and practices, to communicate securely in an affordable way with little to no workflow disruption. This underscores the rationale of a domain that we talked about previously. The unique structure allows for communications between .md domains. With each .md domain name, a registrant receives a secure email account, a paired secure instant messenger, and a secure webmail account. It's particularly relevant when you consider the cost of some of the software solutions that are being offered to doctors and practices today. In .md, we have a scalable solution that addresses secure communications, and by scalable, I mean it's affordable to even the smallest practice. It allows your organization, regardless of geographic location, to communicate with each other, .md to .md, domain-wide, without any further encryption. And just as importantly, while you're communicating, you're reinforcing your own organization as a brand and not some third-party provider. For example, your email, if I would use you, Dr. Benson, your email would be drbenson@michaelbenson.md, as opposed to some Hotmail address or Yahoo or even Relay Health for that matter. You'd be branding yourself.
I think some of our audience members want to know is what physically about the .md domain names makes it secure. How is it?
Let me explain to you how it works. Each .md domain name comes, as I explained, with a secure email account. Each of our .md email accounts connects to our secure servers, which are located in Dallas, Texas, by, in the technical talk, POP, IMAP, or SMTP over SSL. Now, what does that mean? SSL is a secure socket layer. A secure socket layer is a communications protocol. It could be described in general terms as a secure pipe. Our secure email account also, it integrates readily with any modern email client. So Outlook, Yahoo, Gmail, BlackBerry. So there's no need to switch. And it can be formatted for a handheld device if you're a handheld device user. The platform is relevant in that communications between .md to .md, regardless of geographic location. So if you were located on the West Coast and you want to talk to somebody else in the .md domain on the East Coast, there's no requirement for any further encryption. It simply moves from your desktop via the secure socket layer to our secure servers, then it's moved into the appropriate mailbox. Now, that covers .md to .md. If you wanted to communicate with somebody who wasn't a .md in the domain, so you wanted to communicate with someone from .com, .org, .biz, all you need to do is type secure : into the subject line, and then anything else that you want to title your email. That prompts encryption when you hit the send button. That secure : that phrase prompts encryption. So when the email passes off your desktop and goes out onto the web, it's encrypted when it passes through the gateway. We also allow you, the sender of the email, to provision the password so that when it gets to its intended destination, the recipient can put in his password, open up the email, read the contents of it, and then respond back to you securely inside that email.
Can you use one password for your entire practice, or do you have to use a different password for, like, every patient?
Well, we would recommend that you use a different password, but the password stays constant over time. So, Dr. Benson, if you were the attending physician and I was in your office office administrator might say to me before I left the office, look, you'll be receiving a secure email from Dr. Benson. Your secure password will be your mother's maiden name, and then for the rest of my life, whenever I receive an email from you that requires me to put in my password, I put in my mother's maiden name, it opens up, you're protected, and I'm protected as a patient when I send my information back to you.
Oh, I see. So that's why it can be a secure email.
We had a physician up in New Hampshire who was concerned about some of her elder patients who wouldn't understand, taking normal secure email procedures are you would go to a separate website, you'd open up an account, you'd provision your own password. She thought that they would get confused, so we basically modified it so that the initiator of the email can provision that password. There's actually two ways to do it. We think the most convenient way for patients would be for your office administrator just to set it up, and then there would be secure, and you could communicate back and forth, and any of your business partners.
If you have just joined us, you are listening to ReachMD, XM 157, the channel for medical professionals. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Benson, and my guest is Mr. Scott Finlay, Chief Executive Officer of MaxMD. We are discussing HIPAA-compliant secure email. What about archiving the email? Does MaxMD archive the email? Because now any emails between patients are part of the medical legal record, and is there a provision for saving these or archiving them?
That's a great question. Not a lot of folks realize that you have to archive that, but you do. We do offer an archiving solution. It's part of that package. When you register a .md domain name, if you were to, and let's just say we've created a package that we call it the practice package, which is 10 additional email accounts. We also have an audit package which provides you with 4 gig of audit storage. The total cost of .md, domain name, secure instant messenger, secure email, secure webmail, 10 additional email accounts, and the audit package costs a total of $330 a year, or probably about 8 cents a day per user. The 4 gigabytes of audit storage, you never would exceed that because you can manage it. You can download all of your emails to a CD, make a copy, and keep it, or you can simply buy more audit storage if you preferred, but we provide you with 4 gigabyte for the 10 or 11 accounts that you would have.
As long as you're not exchanging PDF files or photographs with your patients, you probably wouldn't exceed it in any case.
No, it's a lot of storage.
Can this system work with established medical record programs?
EMRs and EHRs are relatively new. Most of them are closed systems, meaning that they offer you an ability to communicate securely behind a firewall. That means that your secure communication is restricted to those that are, clients of that EMR. But if the email client was a modern email client and you could send outgoing email off of your electronic medical record, then we could definitely integrate easily. It's a pretty universal technology.
I see. So like if patient Abigail Hernandez sends in an email, is there a way to attach that to her electronic medical record file?
I would imagine you could probably cut and paste into it, but that, again, we would have to look at each one. Again, the EMR, EHR software is relatively new. They boast a secure communications capability, but it's an older technology in the sense that it's simply password protected. And so you talk securely behind a firewall, but it requires you to log in, and actually, usually they're fairly expensive.
Well, that's not really practical for dealing with patients.
.md is focused from your office out, and then our mission is not to actually compete in your back office as much as create the front door to your virtual practice and help you communicate securely across the internet. Again, if you took an email in from a patient I think would be fairly simple, what you call an API, simply cut and paste and move it into your patient's record.
And to summarize, this does work from any computer, so you don't have to have a specific server, or you don't have to be in the office to do this emailing. Is that correct?
Oh, that's 100% correct. Let me explain that. It works because your account connects to our server using a standard secure connection. If you want to use our webmail client, you can connect securely over an HTTPS protocol using any modern browser. So when you're away from your desk, you can log into your account and communicate securely. You can also, if you're using a mail client on your desktop or a PDA, any of the email clients such as Outlook, Eudora, Thunderbird, BlackBerry, Snapper, anything basically modern, because you connect securely to our email server over an SSL connection, all modern mail clients support POP, IMAP, and SMTP over SSL.
I want to thank Mr. Scott Finlay, Chief Executive Officer of MaxMD, who has been our guest. We have been discussing HIPAA-compliant secure email. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Benson. You have been listening to the Clinicians Roundtable on ReachMD XM 157, the channel for medical professionals. We would really like to hear from you. For comments and questions about this program or suggestions for other shows, send your email to xm@reachmd.com. You can hear podcasts of this and other programs, as well as get show schedules on our website at reachmd.com. Be safe. Be informed. Thank you for listening.